You're not on Facebook. You haven't seen my adverts I put up then of women getting poured white liquids all over them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. that was for Mayhems?
It's the Mod Zoo! Starring Overkill Bill Owen of Mnpctech, Cheapskate, Jeremy Il Ambience Birch. And now, your host, Kyle VDM.
Hello and welcome to the Mod Zoo podcast. This is episode 8. I'm your host, Kyle VDM, and with me I have got Bill.
Hi everybody, it's great to be back again.
Jeremy.
Howdy.
The monkey.
Hello.
Right, before we get on to our guest, let's just go through the quick updates and what we've been up to. So, Cheeps, have you managed to do anything useful?
No.
No. Okay, that was it. Jeremy?
Not a goddamn thing.
Bill, have you managed any modding in the last week?
Oh, I gotta carry the weight of everybody on my back. Let's see. My intern, Andrew, and I are going to be starting his project soon with the Cosmos 2.
Have you managed to pull that thing apart again after...
Oh, man. We'll have to take it apart again to paint it. But
yeah, it took us, an hour to pull it apart when I was there?
Oh, my gosh. Way over-engineered. Starting a new project soon, a tribute to the Colonial Marines from the Aliens movie in anticipation of the game release coming out after the first of the year, and that's going to be a project for Custom PC in the UK, and Toby Kirkby is going to be helping me with that. And then Cheeps and I are about to reveal a scratch build project pretty soon for a well-known customer, and that's about it for now.
Awesome. And me, I've done nothing. I have exams and stuff, so, you know. Because I remember this time, our guest is Michael Elwood, who's also known as Mick from Mayhems Water Cooling Dyes. How you doing, Mick?
Hi there.
So why don't you just let us know a little bit about who you are, what you do, what Mayhems does, and we can go from there.
Right. Hello. I'm Michael from Mayhems. I'm part of a two-man team that run Mayhems liquid cooling solutions. We create unusual liquids for the modder out there. We sort of don't aim our target at cooling enthusiasts. We aim at modders instead, and we've got a selection of liquids that I've designed from the ground up that sell quite well. About it.
I know you've got some really ridiculous liquids that nobody would have thought would have gone in water cooling systems, so why don't you just let us know a little bit about why you came up with Aurora and all the other wonderful things that you can create. And Chameleon as well, that's really cool.
What it was a few years ago, I was working on a couple of mods for which some people might have seen called C-Max, which is an arcade system, and we were putting water cooling liquids into them, and we couldn't find anything that was decent out there that would hold its colour, and there was lots of people complaining about problems of them blocking up, so I decided to one day make my own, and basically Mayhems is an extension of that, which was total accident, and we've ended up basically making lots and lots of different colours and stuff out there. We have Aurora, which is still basically a new product, but it's only made for short-term use, and then we've got things on the bench what we're working on. One's Chameleon, which changes colour depending on the temperature of your system, and then we've got, which I might say here, you'll be the first to hear about it, we've actually got a liquid metal liquid we're working on, which looks like it's got gold going through your system or steel, and we're working on them as well, and then there's a few other ideas we're working on.
Awesome. Because I remember back in the days, years ago, when you were first making those dyes, I remember chatting to you on another forum about it. And so with your aim being at modders, do you speak to them about what they want to see, how they want to, or what liquids they want, and what colours they want?
I would say we get about 30 emails a day with ideas. People want to learn how to make their own. So we actually will sit there and physically make that product in our little office here, and then we will advise them how to make it themselves. Sometimes we'll do videos on it and things like that. We've got loads of people contacting us, including manufacturers, asking if we'll make them a specific colour, and it takes quite a while to knock up a colour to make sure it's stable, but we are looking into doing that as well. Most of the ideas are actually me watching films going, aha! I like that.
What a job you have.
Yeah, basically I get to... I've said to a lot of people about this, but it's like me with a chemistry... like a child with a chemistry set, and I get to play with all sorts of chemicals. I have had explosions. I've had things go drastically wrong. With me running around going, oh no. And it's all fun, really. It's basically enjoying myself and enjoying what I do.
What was your thoughts behind Mayhems Pastel as well, which is one of your normal fluids, but it's coloured, gets rid of the need for coloured tubing, etc.?
Pastel was literally... I worked with Ice Dragon Cooling on that, and they created the base product, which was the Pastel. And we took their product, added it into ours, mixed it so it became less toxic, and then it's true, and then started adding more colours to it, and basically it's turned out to be one of the best sellers we've got, and it's featured in loads of magazines. Lots of the top builders are using it. We've actually got a lifespan of it up to 3 years now. It's been tested up to, so it's one of the best liquids out there going. And there isn't really... I mean, you can create any colour you want with it as well, which is fantastic.
Well, it's hard to cloud up a pastel, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's got all quiet.
It's called Thought Time. I'm going to dub it Thought Time rather than Awkward Silence.
A moment of awe.
I was gonna. Well, since Kyle's quit grilling you, I was gonna ask. You said you're seeing, you getting ideas for movies. Have you seen John Carpenter's Prince of Darkness?
Yes, and I've been pointing it over and over and over again about Aurora. Aurora actually was developed from Star Trek, from the warp engine. It was like they use special effects to make that. Why can't we make it real?
And so you said it's temporary. How long does it normally last? Or obviously it depends on system and heat, etc. But
depending, to be honest, if you're building a modded computer, you've got to build it around Aurora. It's the other way around. Normally, you'll build a computer system and then add your liquid and then add your dyes. Aurora is the opposite. You've got to build your system so it'll take Aurora. Such things as you can't use a bay reservoir, because what happens is a lot of bay reservoirs have what's called dead spots in them, where the water swirls around and it pulls all the particles to the base. Whereas if you use a tube reservoir, it will flow through it properly, and you have you don't have any dead spots in it. Things like adding too many bends in your system where they've got little edges on the actual barbs, the microparticles in them, which are really tiny, can actually accumulate around that. Yep. That's one of the problems. It won't block, but it's accumulated. And over a period of time, people lose the effect. The most I've ever had Aurora running for is 1 year. But we've had people running it for maybe a week and then start losing the colour or losing the swirly effect. And the reason behind it is because they haven't looked at the system and designed the system around Aurora. They've just put it in and hope for the best.
I'm just on your website now, and there's your product guide, etc., for what's been tested, what's working, what's failed. So if you think about using it, go and check in there as well.
Yeah, I mean, we've got lots of information out there. We're trying to work on a more in-depth guide on how to do it. It's not easy, though, because everybody uses different equipment, and when you're using so much equipment, it's very difficult for us to test everything out there. Yeah. We work off the feedback that we get off users as well, and if some user says, this doesn't work, and we can confirm that, we'll actually put that up, the details of why it won't work as well.
Okay, and I think we're done grilling you unless anybody else has any questions. Bill?
No, I like the fact that Mick's a big sci-fi movie watcher. Yeah. And I got a good taste of that on Facebook when we've corresponded with each other. And I was going to say, and I've been watching the entire Alien quadrilogy. And of course, I always, whenever I see the androids all share that milky substance, and I was thinking, but then again, that's already been done, just like an opaque off-white. But yeah, I just appreciate the fact that Mick's a science fiction watcher, and he uses that for a lot of his inspiration, which I do as well.
Yeah, I've noticed one of my favourite builds of yours, by the way, is got to be the H.R. Geiger build. Fantastic.
Oh, gosh. The one I never finished.
So, Bill, when you get finished,
you guys set them up.
Here we go.
Get it finished.
Bill, what's an Ima to help you finish that build?
Oh man! I think in the last episode we came up with strategies to avoid having to do old projects, where it's the best thing to do is move the project from outside of your shop and hide it somewhere off the premises, so you're not bothered with looking at it and feeling bad anymore.
Or stick it in another country. It works for me.
New product, Crap or Not, by Elambians.
An update from the last Crap or Not segment, where the G-Van's shamash was, well, shamashed against the rocks, that is the mod zoo. Since the release of the podcast, a couple G-Van's reps have been in contact with us via Facebook. It has come to light that the shamash that was checked out at the time of writing the segment was in fact an older version of the controller. I tend to write a few editions of these segments ahead of time so I have a lottery I can pick from when I'm feeling less than eloquent with the material. But looking at the pics and detailed info provided by the G-Van's reps, I redact the crap rating I gave it, at least until I can revisit the unit at a later date if ever. Who knows, maybe it is crap, but looking at the new design, I think it's safe to say it's definitely a more reliable unit by far, and bravo to those G-Van's reps for having a direct hand in making that so. It's cool seeing passionate people involved in companies, and I am nothing if not honest, so I'll say so when I'm called out on something. Initially, we at the Mod Zoo were accused of being, quote, pawns of Lambtron, etc., which was rather hilarious considering my long-running and documented personal distaste for the company. But after explaining myself a few times, I think it's safe to say that it was merely an issue of outdated info regarding the controller in question, and it was a misunderstanding among everyone. Let me be direct. This is not Bill's segment, this is mine, and I stand by what I write or say. Other funny phrases were thrown about as well in the heat of the argument on Facebook, such as slander, etc. I'll be frank, these are my opinions and mine alone. If I don't like something, I don't like something. How is that slanderous? I'm not paid to review these things, I merely choose something at random that I feel like checking out. If I don't like it, that's my opinion. I fail to see how saying that something is crap or not is slanderous. If that were true, we'd see people being sued for saying they don't like this sports team or that fast food restaurant. I wouldn't want to get wrapped up in litigation because I dislike zucchini. I guess what I'm basically saying is, if you don't like what I say about something, don't listen to my nonsense. Turn it off or fast forward it. Seriously, why bitch about it at all? Slander indeed. Another phrase I read was a critique of the name Crap or Not being immature. Well, duh.
Duh.
Of course it's immature. And that's the idea. It's called humor. Tongue-in-cheek. If you haven't deciphered it already, I'm kind of a student of sarcastic theory, and I tend to inject levity into any given situation because that's what I do. If you haven't, you ought to delve into my plethora of work logs. Frankly, I like laughing, even if it's cynically. If I don't like a product, it's crap, okay? I know in real life that things tend to be a little more complex, but it's a stupid podcast segment, nothing more. It's meant to let our listeners know that I did or did not like a given product while making them laugh a bit. That's all. Don't make it more than it is. Oh, and choosing to buy American doesn't make me racist. It makes me supportive to fellow Americans. Some of us Americans are kind of proud like that. And last I checked, that's kind of a good thing because our economy in particular is ass right now. I buy plenty of shit in the market that was most likely assembled by possibly underage hands in a foreign factory somewhere. But I try to limit those kinds of purchases on principle. Does that make me a bad person? Nope. But if I have to keep giving a disclaimer post-recording, someone doesn't like my personal feelings about a product, I'm going to stop doing it. So tell me, was this segment crap or not? Well, you be the judge. Don't worry. I won't call it slander.
I'm sorry, but I love how the two non-Americans laughed at the.
I for one support, because children need money too. So.
and all for you non-Americans, zucchini is courgettes. Just so you know.
Wow, I did not know that. There's actually another name for it?
Yeah.
No shit.
Watch many movies then.
Something else I don't like.
Courgettes. Crap.
Yeah.
It's official.
Right, enough with that. We can let them argue over it again. Just coming from the host and the person who comes up with ideas for the podcast, or came up with the podcast, etc., you know, I don't care what anybody thinks. No. Especially not companies. There's a reason I do this podcast.
No.
It's just, have you never heard me slate Cooler Master or any of the other companies that I dislike in the modern industry?
Thermal Steak.
Thermal steak, fail, especially Thermofail. And with that,
I'm so screwed if I try approaching anybody now, aren't I?
Yep.
Hey, no, right. And to clear that up, Michael is a guest of this podcast. He's got nothing to do with it.
There's no preconceived format or anything. This podcast is completely off the cuff, what keeps it genuine and honest. And that's why so many people like it. And the one thing I wish, and I said this to the people from G-Vans on Facebook, and you can go to our Facebook page for the Mod Zoo and you can see the correspondence that we had with them, is that I think it's great that they actually reach out and want to start a dialogue because they've heard this, segment. I think if it will initiate dialogue with companies or company reps or even just supporters of that brand, I think it's great. Because that's what's lacking is a dialogue between the manufacturers and the community. And if we can make that bridge, I mean, it's only going to be maybe not for good all the time, but at least talking kind of like, hey, try to improve upon this. We hate it or whatever. At least they're talking and listening. And I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah,
I think what they need to do, the manufacturers, if you've got representatives on a manufacturer, they should approach it in a more likely manner instead of being so aggressive when they approached it. I read through all of that, and all I saw straight away was aggressiveness from the G-Vans representatives, and they need to sort of take a little bit of time out and maybe think before they type.
Yeah, because the internet doesn't lie, and it's up there for everybody to read. It's
but I mean, the comebacks and the responses from you all have been very professional, so I was quite happy reading that, to be honest.
Hey, what the hell?
Michael, I know you've listened to the podcast a fair bit, so you know what the hell is. What's your what the hell for this week?
I'm getting into astronomy. Watching the moon.
Astronomy.
Astronomy. And my what the hell
whose
is,
moon?
Whose moon? I've tried taking my lasses, just haven't got a big enough lens.
Oh no!
I've been.
Not only are you in trouble with all your manufacturer reps and contacts, now you're in trouble with your wife. Smart move.
I'm always in trouble with her. Right. My what the hell is, why do they use such old technology such as COM ports when nobody puts COM ports on laptops or PCs anymore? Why are these people still insistent on doing this?
True.
It's true.
Right.
And why has my last got so many craters?
Oh no! Right, I'm moving on swiftly. Why did I have to use a disk drive? Like, you've all heard how much I hate disk drives for the last, I don't know how long. And this morning, I had to use a disk drive for the first time in about 4 years. What the hell?
Wait, you like a floppy drive, or?
Yeah, like A: format or something?
Optical drive, people.
Optical drive, CD.
I joined the computing stuff way after floppies.
Was that the ice in your glass, your drink glass?
I just knocked the glass off my table.
Oh.
Me too impassioned.
You got caught.
So yeah, what the hell? Why did I have to use a disk drive? It sucked. context for everyone, I killed my PC yesterday and so I had to reinstall it this morning. And because I didn't have enough time before the podcast to download an ISO to create a USB installer for Windows 7, I had to use a disk. What's all that hell? Life sucks. Right. Jeremy, what's your what the hell?
My what the hell is, why does Kyle have all this hatred for optical drives? I don't understand that. Why? What is wrong with it? It's an inanimate object. What is your deal with that?
They take up so much space.
5.25 inches.
Have you seen the amount of space that they take up on your PC, and then you have to deal with all the DVDs that you have lying about the house?
But don't you sort of store things on DVDs like Windows 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, which really are something else?
No, I've got hard drives for that.
No, you have to keep the optical drive, because if you don't, the RIAA wins.
Yeah.
I live in the UK. They don't care.
Yeah.
We don't.
Like, judges chuck piracy laws out the window all the time. It's fine. Right.
Well, that is until the New World Order comes into power and new laws are created overnight, and yeah,
in the cloud.
You have your song playlist tattooed to your butt.
Jeeps, what's your what the hell?
I actually have a modding related what the hell.
No.
Right.
Or computer related.
What the hell?
Shocking.
Yeah, what the hell?
I've been so sidetracked this past month, and Blue had power supply die on me, so I had to perform open heart. I managed to run it for 2 days without the pump plugged in.
Oh God.
It made no difference.
No, that's the thing. I was actually taxing it the last day, and it did an emergency shutdown. And I looked at it. I was like, uh-oh. And so apparently my homemade blocks, the plexiglass in them, is sturdy enough to withstand that. But shit, those pieces of metal underneath were hot.
Wow.
Which power supply is it, Cheaps? Which power supply model?
What, that died?
Yeah.
It's a Corsair TX 550.
Ouch.
Mine's on its way out.
Bum.
I changed all the wires on it, so
You broke it. It was what happened there?
Didn't he use like those antique radio wires from the 40s or something like that?
No, I switched.
Those old braided cords or something.
No, I used speaker wire. The clear speaker wire that I dyed dark blue to match the plastic.
Oh, all right. Yeah.
It was
okay.
It could be worse. Could be using a wiring harness from a '78 Bonneville.
Yeah. Right.
Right, Bill. What's your what the hell?
My what the hell? I have a grief with manufacturer reps, particularly case manufacturer reps. I dealt with two of them over the last couple of weeks, and we got on the subject of computer games, and both of them don't game, and I was curious as to why. I mean, not that it's out of the ordinary, but then I learned that they both really don't build their own PCs. And and so I was kind of, I didn't say anything. I was polite, but I walked away from that thinking, that's maybe part of the problem with some of these manufacturers is that you're taking on employees that maybe don't really understand our point of view on things. I mean, I worked for a manufacturer for lawnmowers for 13 years before I started my business, and what they would do is the marketing people, they'd bring them out to an area where they'd actually test the new products that were coming out that year. Like we made snow throwers and lawnmowers. And I recall that we had this huge lot that'd be filled with snow, and they'd force all these people one day to get away from your desk and get outside and actually use the equipment that you're out there writing brochures or whatever on. And, that's not like really hardcore. Yeah, it's not really, they're not really enthusiasts, but at least they have a better understanding of the product. And so my point is what the hell, if you're in this industry and you're promoting and marketing it to people that buy these products and are passionate about these products, you would have a much better understanding and probably develop better strategies for reaching your market if you actually delve into even just building a system once. Or if you're a manager of a company, consider making your employees, okay, you have an assignment over the next few months. I want you all to choose one of our cases from our line, and we'll supply you with all the hardware, and you can do the build here, or you can do it at home in your spare time. And then when you're done, I want you to hear your feedback on it. And so it really irritated me. And I think also I'm such an enthusiast that I just feel things should be that way, but in reality, it's not.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's my what the hell.
So you want, not only am I the president, I'm also a member.
Exactly. That's what I want. Well, okay.
The hair club for men slant.
I hate to bring up the whole desktop is dying thing, but why not look at new ways to come up with marketing strategies? And maybe it could help by hiring people that actually maybe have some experience doing that in that hobby realm or whatever.
Yeah.
Is it too much to ask? I think that the companies that will take that approach, or there is some that do. Fractal Design, for one. I mean, we had Josh on the cast, and he used to build PCs and sell them in a gaming PC boutique of his own business. And I think he's got strategies that are awesome, that reach out to our community. Look at what you're missing, people. Just reinvest in your knowledge and experience on this stuff that, I don't know. I'm running out of steam here.
Right.
Listener questions.
You can submit listener questions to Facebook, facebook.com/themodZoo, Twitter @themodZoo, and now the new ModZoo forums. Dun dun dun. And the first question we have is one we didn't quite get to last week because we ran out of time because we were too busy yabbering. And that's from Bob Stewart, and his question is, what kind of written agreement or contract do you have when doing mods for customers? Do you have a custom-made work order showing options with prices? Do you keep track of hours, etc.? Do you have them pay up front, half down, or wait until it's finished? And Bill, you might as well just take this one.
Well, I know Jeremy's done some work for some people, too. What I used to do when I first started out, I was just doing basic stuff for people, window install, upgrading from a smaller fan hole size to a larger one, or adding additional fan holes. And I had a set price for that I would tell people, plus the return shipping. Once I got an idea of how big the carton was and where they were, I would give them a sum price total, and they would pay it up front before they ship me the stuff. Or I wouldn't work on it until I was paid up front, where the return shipping was included with that amount. Now, my work over the last couple of years has gotten more into doing one-off cases for clients, and so there's no real work log for that to follow. I mean, because each one is different, has different things we have to create. So I just I give them a quote with an estimate of how much time it is, and for my time and materials, and then shipping, and I give them that, and then if they agree to it, then they pay me the money up front with the return shipping, and then I start the work as soon as materials or whatever arrives. I know that there's a lot of people out there that do like half up front, half on delivery. My experience with that early on is that you run into I don't have the money right now. I will have it next week. Next week rolls around. Oh, give me a few more days. And then you suddenly have to play the bill collector. My philosophy has been, and it always works, if you cannot afford to pay me up front, then you really can't afford to do it. If you don't have the money now, then it's not going to happen. I mean, you can save your money up and then pay me, and then we'll go ahead and do the work. But if you don't have all the money I quote you on now, then you don't really have the money, so I'm not going to do it. And some people may be like, oh, well, that's not really being flexible. Well, that's the way it works. And and you get the money up front, everybody's happy, and it's not this like waiting game. And I've seen other guys out there that, they want to do the pro stuff, and they do the half up, half on delivery, and then they always end up complaining. So it's just from my own experience.
Jeremy,
what do you think, Jeremy?
Bill's point of view is absolutely correct. I've been bitten by the, I'll pay you the rest of it later on. I mean, I think everybody's probably experienced that, not just in modding, but, just in general. Loaning friends money or, whatever.
Rent
you
houses.
pretty much, yeah, exactly. You pretty much find out, where people are coming from, when money gets involved with it. Yeah, I would always take, I would give an estimate on, the amount of time it's going to take, the parts that are going to go in the build or mod, and I would expect all the money up front. I've only done a handful of commission stuff since the economy has really taken a major downturn, so it's kind of sucked, but I've dealt with it. It's just part of the game. I mean, it was always just a hobby for me anyway. But
the thing I want to bring up again is it's so important when you do a quote for somebody, because most of the work is going to be from out of state because we promote ourselves on the internet. Yeah. It's very important to get the exact carton dimensions and weight and figure out how much shipping is going to be to send it back, in addition to whatever you've added, whatever things you've added to it for weight, and charge them that money up front in the quote. Too many times I've even gotten stung where it ends up being bigger or heavier to ship back to them, and shipping can be really expensive, especially when you have to insure it for the full amount to protect yourself. That's another thing, and taking lots of pictures after you do the work and ship it out, because UPS will not. They do not want to give you any money when you do a claim, even though they've destroyed it. Yeah. They will fight it and say it was your fault. You didn't use the proper carton for it. You didn't pack it properly. I've gone through that fight umpteen times. It used to be that UPS worked with a insurance company to handle all their claims, or you'd speak to an agent and you'd have to pitch, or kind of like going like into a mini courtroom battle with them about why they should pay for your claim. Now it's got to the point where they've eliminated that, and they don't even really. It's really difficult to even have any correspondence with them if things get damaged. So it's very important to a business like myself to have a rep with the company to help you. Otherwise, just the regular person has to go through all these loopholes to get their money back after their stuff's been destroyed. Yeah. You just got to watch all these little things, because if you don't, this stuff adds up over time and you're not really making, there goes your profit margin. It gets smaller and smaller, so it's hard to make money.
Don't a little bit of advice as well is don't use these middlemen companies like Parcel to Go, because they are not insured. Yeah, they are not insured for computer parts. There's a lot of people use them. We used them once, and we had to take them to a small claims court. We won, but we're also now on their banned list for sending stuff. So make sure you use reputable delivery companies. Don't use middlemen.
Yep.
Right.
Next question is, let's see. Let's take one from Ape Max, and he asks, what are your opinions on fans mounted on the floor of a PC case? Worth it or not? Cheaps, why don't you take that one?
Mainly, it just depends on whether you're a clean person or you have a cat, or if you're actually got the system on the floor of the floor.
Yep. If you have a carpet, don't do it.
No, it depends. I mean, if you got a carpet, you could have, if you got it up on, 5-inch legs or something like that, carpet's not going to matter.
Yeah.
It's whether it's whether you're eating oatmeal over the thing, or like me, or like me, you're sanding constantly at your desk while you're watching the computer.
Yeah, so basically it's up to you. You might get shed loads of dust flying into your PC. Just use a dust filter, see what it's like after a week or so.
Well, most of the
going to get there. Sorry.
Most of the chassis I see on the market that come in for like a review, most of them have a filter built into the bottom as an option. I just got one in today, Corsair 200R mid-tower. That does not have a filter in the floor. But you definitely want to have the fan filtered if you do that on the floor. And I'm all for having that fan in the floor as another intake. I mean, bringing more cooler air, more positive pressure, I'm all for that. I remember a time when that option never existed, and power supplies were always on the top of the chassis. And that's how old I am. And so, like, I remember it was like the first time I saw an option of a fan in the floor. I don't know when that's like maybe 7 or 8 years ago or something. But it was cool.
One of the main one was the Antecs, weren't they? Was
it Antec?
I want to say I remember seeing something like that in a Cooler Master made gateway system.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's always been the occasional one in the bottom, but I don't think it was really mainstream until very recently.
For some systems, having that hole in the bottom actually came in handy for some people, because it's like that's where the drink drains out. when they spill it.
Yeah. Let's not go back to holes where that happened on a regular basis. Right, next. Anybody else have anything on that?
Yeah, you can always put your own filters in. A very good way of doing it, a cheap way, is actually getting hold of, tights, what women wear.
Yep.
Putting tights across... It's an old way of doing it, but putting tights across the input of the fan filter, the fan, will stop the dust getting in.
Yep.
If there's no fan filter there.
Mm-hmm.
And then look at your lass later on when she puts the tights on.
Right, the next question. Let's try and keep this modding related. I was wondering what your opinion on the best brand of paint was. What would you recommend for painting plastics, such as fans and plastic case bezels? Jeremy?
It depends on what method you want to use. If you were to do it the proper way, I would use a primer, specifically an etching primer. Like Bill, I would wholeheartedly recommend the SEM brand if you can find it. That's the best shit on the market by far, and it's well worth the money. But yeah, if you're going to do it right, I would use the etching primer and then several light layers of rattle can paint on the top of that, and maybe even wet sand in between that if you want to get a really nice, clean look finish to it.
I think Bill has, if you go and look at one of Bill's YouTube tutorials, he's got them all over the place and how to deal with pockmarks and plastic and all the rest.
Yeah, I know on the Modman we did a outtake video like Bomb the Beige or something like that where we painted a beige drive. And I think in the video, I could be mistaken, that we showed two different approaches, like the easy way with the Krylon plastic paint or whatever.
Fusion, I think.
Fusion.
Yeah.
The only problem with that Fusion paint is that it's got a really bright sheen gloss to it that looks kind of cheap.
Yeah.
But what you can do, like Eel says, is use this stuff called SEM self-etching primer, and it's typically found at auto body supply stores. You're not going to find it at a regular car parts place because it's more for professionals, and it's worth it. It works both on metal and plastic as a great primer base coat. However, it's, like I've said before in the past, it's extremely toxic, very toxic stuff.
And for everyone in the UK, because you can't get SEM here as far as I'm aware, I've tried. Upol do a good acid etch primer. You can grab that from Helford's, and it's quite expensive, but the can will last forever. So.
And let me add to my favorite aerosol paint on the market is Plasticoat's Engine Enamel line of paints, which are an enamel paint, and they're really good for applying where they won't lift or crack. There's something in the chemical that I want to say maybe oil-based, unlike your regular traditional aerosol paints, where it's got a bit of a, I don't know how to describe it, but you can like really cake it on. That's the kind of, it's and once it cures, it's much more durable than most other aerosol paints because it's made for painting the engine block on your car.
Yeah, high temp stuff.
Exactly. And the only downfall is they don't really have, it's more of like just your primary colors. There's no like real metallic colors, but I've used that in so many projects, and their aluminum color is really good too. So Plasticoat's Engine Enamel paint, really good aerosol.
Right, and the last question. This one is from Wayne Bullet Butler, and he asks, is there any way that the Modzo podcast might go to video conference call in Skype, plus a YouTube channel postings? Also, would like to hear your own personal permanent rigs. So let's just go with, why aren't we video? If I'm frank about it, it's a lot more work. It's a lot of work as it is to get the audio out. Jeremy slaves over it to make us sound decent, and to go video would just be a lot more work. We'd actually have to be presentable.
We touched on this.
The amount of crap we have to hack out of every recording instance is
totally,
it's mind-boggling.
4 different. I mean, imagine 5 different video feeds. And then you got to edit it into a video to put on YouTube. Obviously, It's not that it's like we couldn't do it, but it's like with our busy schedules, just to get together once, to get together as often as we do, it takes a lot.
Yeah.
So,
it's something we'd love to do if we had the time for it, but at the moment we just don't. Maybe if someone fancies paying us to do these podcasts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lantron, G-Van.
I would love to do a lot more stuff for the podcast if we had money. Right. Yeah. And in terms of own personal permanent rigs, I think you should be able to find all of that on
equally as embarrassing as seeing our face. Let's just put it that way.
Much. Yeah. I've been using my rig for a while. Right.
Main topic.
The Modzoo forum. As many of you will have already noticed, we've now got a nice shiny forum, and this has been around for how long? 2 weeks now?
3 weeks?
3 weeks, something like that. I don't know. And so we're just going to... and James hasn't posted yet. And so basically we just wanted to discuss community forums, why we decided to set up our own forum again, and just go from there. Bill, do you want to pilot this bit?
Well, one of the things is over the last 2 weeks, this has been like a topic that's gone on over the last year, but it seems to have gotten really hot over the last couple of weeks and even just over the last few days from my circle of friends online is there's this feeling of a more negative atmosphere in a lot of the popular forums out there that's growing. And complaints have been heard regarding low ratings trolling going on. Those of you who listen to the cast, I'm sure you're aware of Mnpctech, and it's been an ongoing thing over the last, few months, but where there's a troll that goes in and puts a 1 rating on all the nice, really good work logs on there, and it's starting to irritate a lot of the people that author the work logs. Also, onslaught of sponsored project logs that are overshadowing new guys out there. There seems to be so many manufacturers now giving out stuff to people for sponsorships to people that haven't really necessarily earned that realm of, like, say, pro modder or experienced modder. I mean, I'm doing a new build that's got, this video card or whatever. Can I get a whole bunch of water blocks for it? It's, well, sure. What's your address? We don't have to name anybody, but we all know. All of us have been sponsored, so we kind of know who the companies are that are more likely to give out the free stuff, free samples. And what happens is you get, of course, these types of project logs draw on a really big audience because, if a guy's got, 3 GPUs or 4 GPUs sometimes, it's like it attracts a lot of attention because most people can't afford that. Also, members hating or bashing on others and basically a lack of a positive support or even mentoring from members. Like, John Hanlon on Mnpctech, man, we all remember how John would come in and like all the noobs, he'd be like the ambassador to the community and welcome everybody and like
ambassador.
That's a good way of putting it.
Noob ambassador, yeah. That's really what he was. We don't have enough of that.
No. We were all a noob at some point.
Yeah, we were. Experienced modders not helping out the noobs as much, pretty much focusing on their own project and not extending themselves outside of the walls of their project log to see what other people are doing and give them encouragement, because a lot of the guys that are just starting, they need that. They need direction. And then there seems to be more pop-up ads on certain forums that are becoming... So
that's
it's
not
really...
their fault.
To be fair, it's not their fault. But
no.
It's one of these issues that has been circulating and people are just getting upset and generally annoyed by it. And it's one of the reasons we decided to give people a place to post their project logs. We're not out to make money on this forum. The forum is there to help new people start modding, to allow all the modding legends to congregate and speak to other people, share their wisdom, share their projects with people who will have never seen them before. And we're not a business. Like, the Modzoo is not a business. We're affiliated with Mnpctech, but we're all volunteers here. We all do everything for free when it comes to the podcast and the forums. So it's basically just there to allow modders to congregate. It's there to be a community again rather than a corporate entity.
Right. The main reason why we joined community forums was to learn and to share. This back and forth sharing of content and encouraging each other to learn new things, and being able to go somewhere when you were stuck and ask for help. That was really the thrust of community forums in an enthusiast realm. And it seems that it's become just like a show, like kind of a place to get an audience almost in some places. And of course the manufacturers love that. It's all about advertising the products and stuff. Well, for example, on the Modzu forums, what we're taking as a new approach is we're inviting vendors that are respected and admired by other modders in the community, and we're not requiring any fees whatsoever for their presence to be in the forums. We just ask that they come into the forum as an enthusiast first before promoting their services or their products, and get to meet people, so we get to know who the person is behind that business.
Yep. And we invited Michael to join the forums as one of the first vendors, and he's already done a great job of encouraging people to converse and show off their systems, and is already giving away cool things. And
thank you.
Yeah, it's got the #1 giveaway going on there right now.
Yep. So yeah, it's just we're here for modders to just hang out.
To be honest, I like the forums on there because everybody's in a relaxed attitude and it's a relaxed atmosphere, and that's one of the best things you can have when you're doing modding, is the fact that you have got so much experience on there as well, and everybody's approachable. There's nobody that's not approachable.
Yep.
And that's something that's missing from a lot of the big forums, is you daren't ask anything in case you get called a noob or you get attacked by the more substantiate people that have been doing it for a lot longer, and that's happening on a lot of these major forums, and it's not nice at all.
No, I'm just going to segue that quickly and go on to something that we've written up as a question for this topic, and it's what has led up to the hating on all the forums, they're just trolling, etc. And I think it's got a lot to do with haters hate, and there's just a lot more haters at the moment. But we're not there for hating. I will come down hard on people if I see them trolling.
Absolutely.
I thought it was just holiday depression.
It just looks like jealousy the way they come out sometimes. It's
insecurities too.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Don't be afraid to ask a question. We all started somewhere. I turned up on the forums to ask questions at 13, 14, whatever it was. Maybe it was even 12, I don't know. I was some ridiculous age that was asking stupid questions. I've seen some of the questions I've asked, and don't be afraid to ask the questions. We won't slate you for it. We might direct you to a tutorial or not directly help you. We might just say, just go and read this or go and look at this. But we will be there to help you. And if anybody is slating you for asking that question, as moderators and admins, we will come down hard on them.
Yeah, that's the whole thing, is that I think what's getting lost in these larger popular forums is like the mentoring going on, where somebody would come in as a fellow member that's been there and just say, hey, none of this, and the people would know that person is, that they respect that person. It's like, don't piss off or try pissing off the people that we respect in the community. And it seems like those mentors have kind of left the bigger forums, and maybe it's because of Facebook. Maybe they just don't want to. We have to admit that Facebook is taking a huge chunk out of the community activity in the forums, because it's so much easier to just be on Facebook and correspond to things. But I think that, at least from my opinion, that Facebook also cultivates this me kind of mindset that everybody just wants to be heard. I want to have a louder voice, and I want my opinions to be heard about this or whatever.
Yep. And
also the whole like-dislike thing that goes on everywhere. I dislike this. Well, why do you dislike this? It's almost like this Facebook generation of just not realizing that you have to contribute to make things better, in a positive manner. Cultivate things with dialogue, interaction, not so much just leaving a comment and disappearing, or not liking something and not explaining why.
Yeah, dedicated forum is definitely more intimate, between the author of the log and the person that's paying attention. Personally, I dislike Facebook, all left and right. I hate it. I don't understand why, people could try to run a work log on Facebook. It just it's fascinating. I just don't understand it. What's the point?
Yeah, I agree. But unfortunately, it just seems so many people are going that way. But the people that realize that interchange of information is getting lost, I think those are the people that are going to come to the Modzoo forums. Another thing is I'm trying to promote is a lot of people that come to the forums that share project logs, and they never leave their project log. They come in each day to do an update to it or answer some questions, if they answer questions. They never step outside that log and actually get to know what else is going on in that community. And, I understand that some people, they're trying to get a lot of exposure for their work, especially if they're getting sponsorship, and it takes a lot of time to update your logs in umpteen different communities.
Yeah.
But we're going to try to preach to people in the Modzoo, and I hate to use the word preach, but try to just inspire more people to step outside that realm and have some interaction, mingle with people. It's a good thing because you'd be amazed at who you can meet or what type of new connections you can make with maybe even a sponsorship with one of our vendors that's in the forum. But if you're only in your own little world each time, and it doesn't really help the community grow and bring in that mentorship that's missing.
Yeah.
I want to say, I think one of the reasons that new forums are always awesome is when they start out, it's, they have the they have the subdivisions of only the original subject that they built a forum for.
Say just completely off topic, one of the biggest forums that I get hits for the MNU project is from California Guns, apparently.
What the hell?
My project logs, images from my project log go in there.
That's great.
I get like 30,000 hits from there a month. It makes no sense.
Well, I would think if it's a bunch of NRA members that are reading these logs, I would guess you would get a lot of hits because they're grouping the shots.
Yeah, calguns.net is where I get loads of hits from every month. It's
Weird.
Awesome. Right. Anything else we've got to say about forums?
Just think of the Modzoo forums as kind of a sanctuary for modders. Try to keep the bullshit politics out of it, and the little cliquey type of groups of people. We don't want that. We just want a nice big modding family.
Yeah.
Without all the horseshit involved.
Right. Mm-hmm. Keep all the politics out, and that's why we're trying to keep the money out of it. Sam Mnpctech is associated with it, but I enter this as completely as an enthusiast, not. I've got my signature, but I'm not putting banner ads all over things and that. I'm trying to stay away from that and just share information and get inspired, and inspire people, because that's one thing we feed upon is watching other people work. And
oh hell yeah,
it's just it's inspiring, and if we lose that, it's going to really suck.
Yeah.
So as I've been saying all week on the forums, a community is only as good as its active members. So be active, contribute, and it will come back to you.
But we're doing quite well on the active members at the moment, but we just want more. The more people, just start spamming the forum links to people.
No.
Do it.
Oh no!
Don't say spam.
I want to see what our server can deal with. It managed 128 people online at one point. I want to see if it can...
Yeah, you heard correctly. Our forum is in Kyle's bedroom. And our forum member is a student. Our forum administrator is a student.
It's not in my bedroom, actually. I bought a new server for the Modzoo. It's sitting in Canada, I think. What good times.
I want to add this to you guys out there that do work logs on a regular basis and you've got sponsorship for your builds. One thing I've been watching is the SEO for our site. And when you do author a work log on the Modzoo forums, there's going to be a tag section in your composer for the post, and add a bunch of your meta tags in regarding the brand name and hardware component names, because that really feeds the Google spiders when they come through. Yeah. And we've seen some really good results with this on some of the work logs where the stuff's been tagged, especially when you get people that are using products that are like brand new on the market or not even out yet. So the ModZoo forums is actually helping bring more exposure to your work through Google. So we're empowering modders to get more hits. Yeah. And some other forums do that to an extent, but I think we're empowering people to have more tools to do it even better.
Yeah, I'm still getting used to the ModZoo forums log composer. I mean, there's so much shit in there. I mean, it's just awesome stuff.
It is.
I haven't seen it yet. I'm officially the first person to ever be banned from the site too, right?
I'm pretty sure I banned you at some point. I don't know. I think I banned Toby as well. I was trialing out the ban system, and so I banned Toby for a while.
Okay, well, I'm the first person to actually have to rebuild his membership.
Yeah.
Which is why everything's blank.
So, yeah, come join the ModZoo, join in with the conversation, have some fun, and do we have anything else we need to say?
Come get monkey banned.
Yeah. just have some fun. We don't like banning people. You can submit your PC and case mod related questions via the website, which is themodzoo.com, and you can find the forum at themodzoo.com/forum, twitter.com/themodzoo, facebook.com/themodzoo.
Oh, yes. I've heard from some people that listen to the cast through iTunes. Please leave a review on the iTunes page for us. Much appreciated.
Until next time. Thanks a lot, Michael, for joining us.
You're welcome.
It was awesome chatting to you, and thanks to all the rest of you guys, and thank you for listening. Goodbye.
The ModZoo podcast is brought to you by Mnpctech. Voiding your warranty is our business.